The marble floors of the Jumeirah villa were stained red. 3 days earlier, this same house had hosted a celebration worth 5 million dirhams, crystal chandeliers, white roses flown in from Ecuador, and 300 guests toasting a love story that seemed impossible. Now Dubai police stood over a body, while a 60-year-old billionaire sat motionless in the corner, his designer kandura soaked in blood. The wedding photos still hung on the wall, mocking the violence that had just unfolded. What secret could she have hidden that would drive a man known throughout the Emirates for his generosity to such unthinkable violence? Stay with me to find out. Welcome to True Crime Journal HQ. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily update on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Before we start, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40, Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals by clicking the link in the pinned comment. To understand how this tragedy unfolded, we need to go back to where Sultan Al-Khattab's story began. Deira was still a trading port where wooden dhows lined the creek, and the skyline was nothing more than low-rise buildings and endless desert. Sultan was born into a family that knew hard work intimately. His father, Ahmed Al-Khattab, owned a small construction company, 3 trucks, a dozen workers, and contracts to build modest homes for the growing population. Young Sultan spent his childhood on construction sites. While other boys played football in the streets, he carried water bottles to laborers under the scorching sun. He watched his father negotiate deals in Arabic and broken English with merchants from India, Iran, and Pakistan. By age 12, he could read blueprints. By 15, he understood profit margins. "My father built this city with his bare hands," Sultan would later tell business associates. "I learned that nothing worth having comes easy." But Ahmed wanted more for his son. In 1977, he sent 18-year-old Sultan to study business management at the American University of Beirut. It was a sacrifice. The fees consumed half the family's savings. Sultan returned in 1981 with a degree, fluent English, and ambitious dreams that stretched far beyond his father's small operation. The timing couldn't have been better. Dubai was transforming. Oil money was flowing. Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum had a vision: turn this desert into a global hub. Sultan saw the opportunity. While his father built modest homes, Sultan pitched luxury developments. In 1985, he secured his first major contract, a residential complex in Jumeirah. The project's success launched him into Dubai's emerging elite. Throughout the 90s and early 2000s, as Dubai exploded into the modern metropolis we know today, Sultan's empire grew. He developed properties in Dubai Marina before it became the glamorous waterfront district it is now. He built commercial towers in Business Bay. His company employed over 500 people. His net worth reached into the hundreds of millions. But Sultan never forgot where he came from. He funded scholarships for Emirati students. He donated to mosques. He helped struggling businessmen get back on their feet. In Dubai's Majlis gatherings, they called him Al-Khattab the Generous, a man who remembered his roots even as he lived in luxury. His personal life followed traditional Emirati values. In 1983, he married Fatima, a woman from a respected local family. They had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. Sultan was strict but loving, ensuring his children understood both privilege and responsibility. Friday lunches at their villa were filled with extended family, laughter, and his wife's famous matchboos. Then, in 2014, everything changed. Fatima was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. 6 months later, she was gone. Sultan, at 55, found himself alone in a way he'd never experienced. His children were adults with their own lives. His eldest son running a branch of the family business, his younger son studying abroad, his daughter married with her own family. The next 5 years were the loneliest of Sultan's life. He threw himself into work, but the villa felt empty. Friends tried setting him up with potential second wives, but nothing felt right. He attended weddings and watched couples dance, feeling the absence of his partner like a physical weight. Have you ever watched someone you love rebuild their life after devastating loss? It's not easy, is it? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with I'm still here. Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. By 2017, Sultan had accepted his solitude. At 58, he believed his chapter of romance had closed forever. He had no idea that fate, or something far more calculated, was about to walk into his life. November 2017. Sultan walked into the luxury jewelry section of Dubai Mall, looking for a birthday gift for his daughter. The store gleamed with diamonds and gold, staffed by immaculately dressed consultants who understood that in Dubai, presentation was everything. That's when he noticed her. Carmen Valdez stood behind the counter in a tailored black dress, her hair pulled back elegantly, greeting customers with a warmth that felt genuine rather than rehearsed. She was 27, beautiful in an understated way, and when she spoke to an Emirati customer, Sultan heard something that surprised him: fluent Arabic. "Marhaba, kaif halak," she said with a perfect accent, not the broken phrases most expatriates managed. Sultan approached, pretending to browse the display cases. Carmen greeted him with respect, immediately switching to formal Arabic appropriate for someone of his age and status. "Ahlan wa sahlan, ya Sidi. How may I assist you today?" They spoke for 20 minutes. She showed him pieces, explained the craftsmanship, and made recommendations without being pushy. But what struck Sultan wasn't her sales technique, it was her knowledge of Emirati culture. She knew about family traditions, about the significance of certain jewelry designs for special occasions, about the importance of quality over flash. "You speak Arabic beautifully," Sultan said. "How long have you been in Dubai?" 5 years, sir. I believe if you're going to live in a country, you should honor its language and customs." Before he left with a purchase, Sultan did something he hadn't done in years. "Would you like to have coffee sometime, just to talk? Nothing inappropriate, I assure you." Carmen smiled, a modest, respectful smile. "I would be honored, sir." That coffee became dinner. Dinner became weekly meetings. Sultan was careful, traditional. He involved his family early, making his intentions clear. This wasn't a secret affair. If he was going to pursue this, he would do it properly. His children were shocked. "Baba, she's younger than me," his eldest son protested, "and she's not Emirati. What will people say?" But Sultan had made up his mind. "Your mother, Allah rest her soul, would want me to be happy. Carmen understands our culture. She respects our values. Age is just a number when the connection is real." Carmen played her part perfectly. She attended family gatherings, always dressed modestly. She learned to cook Emirati dishes. She never pushed for anything, always deferring to Sultan's decisions with the respect his culture valued. Slowly, grudgingly, his children began to accept her. Within months, Carmen went from sending money home from her salary to living in a penthouse, from taking the metro to driving a Range Rover, from worrying about visa renewals to planning a wedding that would cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. She had become Sultan Al-Khattab's fiancée, the woman who would share his empire, his name, his legacy. But beneath Carmen's perfect smile lay secrets that would soon explode with deadly consequences. But who was Carmen Valdez, really? The truth was far more complicated than Sultan could have imagined. Carmen was born in Cebu City, Philippines, to a family that knew poverty intimately. Her father drove a jeepney, one of the colorful public buses that crowd Manila's streets. Her mother sold vegetables at the local market. There were 5 children in the family, and most nights, rice and dried fish was all they could afford. Carmen was bright, ambitious. She dreamed of becoming a teacher, but university fees were impossible. At 19, she took a job at a call center, earning just enough to help her parents. That's where she met Roberto Cruz, a construction worker who came from the same struggling background. They married in 2011 when Carmen was 21. It felt like love, or maybe it was just 2 people clinging to each other in a world that offered them very little. Their first child, a son, was born in 2012. Their daughter followed in 2014. Roberto worked 12-hour days pouring concrete under the Philippine sun. His monthly salary, 18,000 pesos, roughly 1,800 dirhams, barely covered rent for their two-room apartment. Carmen stayed home with the babies, stretching every peso, choosing between medicine and food more times than she wanted to remember. 2012 was the year Carmen made a decision that would change everything. Thousands of Filipinos were leaving for the Middle East, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, sending money home that transformed their families' lives. These overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, were heroes and breadwinners, sacrificing years away from their children so those children could eat, go to school, have a future. Carmen applied for a sales position in Dubai. The recruitment agency promised 2,000 dirhams a month, more than Roberto made in 3 months. She left her 2-year-old son and newborn daughter with her mother. Roberto kissed her goodbye at the airport, both of them crying, both knowing this separation was necessary. For 5 years, Carmen played her role perfectly. She sent money home religiously, 3,000 dirhams monthly, sometimes 4,000 when she earned commissions. Her children grew up seeing their mother through video calls. Her marriage survived on weekend Skype conversations and annual visits home. Then she met Sultan. Was it opportunity or calculation? Did her brother Dante plant the idea, or did it grow naturally from desperation? The investigation would later reveal that Dante Valdez, Carmen's older brother, had gambling debts. He'd been pressuring Carmen for larger amounts. Phone records showed dozens of calls between them in the months after she met Sultan. As Sultan showered Carmen with gifts, money started flowing in new directions. Investigators would later trace transfers to accounts in Cebu, 200,000 dirhams over 18 months. Far more than Carmen could explain as helping family. Was Dante the mastermind? Did he see Sultan as a target, coaching his sister on what to say, how to act? Or was Carmen a desperate mother who saw a chance to give her children everything poverty had denied her? What would you do if feeding your children meant betraying someone's trust? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. The cruelest irony? As Carmen walked down the aisle at Burj Al Arab on May 4, 2019, wearing a dress worth 200,000 dirhams, more than her father had earned in his entire life, her husband Roberto was in Davao City, watching their children play basketball in the street, checking his phone for her next money transfer. 2 marriages, 2 families, 1 woman trapped between them, and in 72 hours, one of those worlds would end in blood. May 4, 2019. The Burj Al Arab, Dubai's most iconic hotel, the 7-star sail-shaped tower that defines the city's skyline, was transformed into a vision of white and gold. 5 million dirhams. That's what Sultan spent to celebrate his new beginning. 300 guests filled the grand ballroom, sheikhs in pristine white kanduras, business moguls in tailored suits, government officials who'd known Sultan for decades. The women wore designer abayas studded with Swarovski crystals, their hands decorated with intricate henna patterns. Carmen descended the staircase in a custom Elie Saab gown, white silk with delicate gold embroidery that caught the light with every step. Her hair was styled in soft waves, a diamond necklace, Sultan's wedding gift, resting against her collarbone. She looked like royalty. Sultan stood at the bottom of the stairs, 60 years old but beaming like a young groom. His children stood beside him, his eldest son forcing a smile, his daughter wiping away tears that could have been joy or concern, his younger son adjusting his gutra nervously. The speeches were emotional. Sultan's eldest son stepped to the microphone, his voice thick with feeling. "Baba has been alone for too long. Carmen, you've brought light back into his life. Welcome to our family." The applause was thunderous. Traditional Emirati coffee was served in delicate cups. A multi-tiered cake towered in the corner. A famous Lebanese singer performed live. Guests danced, laughed, took endless photos. Outside, the Persian Gulf glittered under the night sky, and Dubai's skyline sparkled like a promise of endless possibility. Sultan had given Carmen everything. The penthouse in Dubai Marina with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. The white Range Rover Sport with her name on the registration. Access to bank accounts that held more money than she'd ever dreamed existed. And promises. Promises of travel, of security, of a life where she'd never want for anything. "We'll honeymoon in the Maldives next week," Sultan whispered to her during their first dance. "Then maybe Europe in the summer. Anywhere you want to go, Habibti." Carmen smiled, but if you'd looked closely, really closely, you might have seen something else in her eyes. Fear, guilt, regret. Have you ever attended a celebration where everything seemed perfect, but something felt off? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. The celebration continued until midnight. Guests left with gold-wrapped favors and full hearts, talking about how beautiful the wedding was, how happy Sultan looked, how lucky Carmen was. But while they toasted the happy couple with champagne and Arabic coffee, somewhere in Dubai, an anonymous email was being drafted. One that would shatter this fairy tale in 72 hours. May 7th, 2019, Tuesday morning. Sultan sat in his home office in the Jumeirah villa, sipping Arabic coffee and scrolling through emails. Carmen was still asleep upstairs. They'd stayed up late the night before, planning their Maldives trip, laughing about how his daughter had cried during the wedding speech. His inbox refreshed. A new message appeared at the top. Subject: The truth about your wife. No sender name, just a generic Gmail address, truthteller2019@gmail.com. Sultan's finger hovered over the delete button. Spam, probably. Some scam trying to extort money from wealthy Emiratis. He'd seen it before, but something made him click. The email had no text, just attachments. 12 files, the first photo loaded slowly. Sultan's breath caught in his throat. Carmen, younger, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, standing in front of a small house with peeling paint, her arms wrapped around a man, Filipino, wearing a construction company uniform, both of them smiling at the camera. Sultan's hands started shaking. He clicked the next file. Carmen holding a baby. The same man beside her, kissing her cheek. Next file. A family photo. Carmen, the man, 2 children, a boy around 7, a girl around 5. Recent photo. Very recent. Sultan's coffee cup crashed to the floor. He clicked frantically now. A marriage certificate appeared on screen. Carmen Valdez and Roberto Cruz. Married June 18, 2011. Cebu City, Philippines. 8 years ago. 4 years before she'd even come to Dubai. Next file. Birth certificates. 2 children. Mother, Carmen Valdez Cruz. Father, Roberto Cruz. Next file. Bank statements. Highlighted in yellow. Transfers from Sultan's accounts to Carmen's personal account. Then more transfers from Carmen's account to accounts in Cebu. 200,000 dirhams. Gone. The final file was a video. 20 seconds. Carmen on a video call speaking Tagalog. 2 children visible on the screen calling her Mama. Date stamp, April 2019. 1 month ago. 2 weeks before their wedding. Sultan's world collapsed in the time it takes to download 12 files. His mind refused to process it. This had to be fake, photoshopped, a jealous ex-employee trying to destroy him. But the documents looked real. The photos looked real. The timestamps were there, verifiable. Who sent this? A business rival trying to humiliate him? A jealous colleague from Carmen's past? Someone with a guilty conscience? The sender's identity remained a mystery that would haunt the investigation for months. Sultan's hands trembled as he reached for his phone. He called his eldest son first. "Baba, what's wrong? You sound—" "Come to the villa, now. Don't tell anyone, just come." Next call. His lawyer. A man he'd known for 20 years. "Sultan, my friend, congratulations on the—" "I need you. Emergency. The villa. 1 hour." He sat there for 40 minutes, staring at the screen, clicking through the files again and again, hoping they'd disappear, hoping he'd wake up from this nightmare. But they didn't disappear, they were real. Carmen had lied about everything. Imagine discovering the person you just married has been lying about everything. How would you react? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. His son arrived. His lawyer arrived. They reviewed the evidence together. The lawyer made calls, verified documents. Everything checked out. The marriage certificate was registered with Philippine authorities. The children were real. Sultan made a decision. He would confront her. Tonight. After she returned from her afternoon appointment, what happened next in that villa would turn this love story into one of Dubai's most shocking crimes. Evening, May 7th, 2019. The sun was setting over Dubai, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Sultan sat in the majlis of his Jumeirah villa, waiting. His laptop was open on the coffee table, the damning files displayed on the screen. Carmen arrived home at 7:30 p.m., carrying shopping bags from Mall of the Emirates. She walked into the majlis with a smile, ready to show him what she'd bought for their honeymoon. The smile died when she saw his face. "Habibi, what's wrong? You look—" Sultan's voice was cold, controlled. "Sit down." Carmen set the bags down slowly, her instincts telling her something was very wrong. She sat on the opposite sofa, her hands folded in her lap. Sultan turned the laptop toward her. "Who is Roberto?" The color drained from Carmen's face. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "Who is Roberto?" Sultan's voice rose with each word. "Sultan, please. I can explain." "Explain. Explain." He stood up, his 60-year-old frame shaking with rage. "You're married. You have children. You've been lying to me for 2 years." Carmen started crying. "I was going to tell you. I swear. I didn't know how." "You didn't know how?" Sultan's laugh was bitter, dangerous. "You stood in front of 300 people and married me while you already had a husband, while your children waited for money from their mother who was pretending to be single. You don't understand." Carmen stood up, her voice breaking. "My children were starving. Roberto couldn't provide for us. I came here to work, to send money home, and then I met you and you saw an opportunity." Sultan grabbed the laptop, shoving the screen toward her face. 200,000 dirhams. You've been stealing from me. Was that the plan all along? Find a rich old fool and drain him dry?" No, it wasn't like that. My brother, he had debts. He needed—" "Your brother?" Sultan's voice turned deadly quiet. "So this was planned. You and your family. You targeted me." "Sultan, please, I love you. I really do." "Love?" His roar echoed through the villa. "You made me a fool in front of my children, my friends, all of Dubai. Everyone at that wedding, everyone who congratulated me, they'll all laugh when they find out." The argument escalated, Arabic mixed with Tagalog, both of them shouting over each other. Sultan's neighbors, a British family 3 villas down, would later tell police they heard raised voices around 8:15 p.m., loud enough to hear through walls built for privacy. "I want a divorce," Sultan said, his voice shaking. "Tonight, right now. You'll sign papers, you'll leave this house, and you'll never—" "Where will I go?" Carmen screamed. "You think I can just go back to the Philippines, to Roberto, after everything?" "That's not my problem." Carmen moved toward the door. "I'm leaving. I'll stay at a hotel. We can discuss this tomorrow when you've calmed down." Sultan blocked her path. "You're not going anywhere until you sign the papers. My lawyer is coming." "Get out of my way." She tried to push past him. He grabbed her arm. She pulled away. The physical contact, that first touch in anger, changed everything. What happened in the next minutes remains unclear. The investigation would piece together fragments, a struggle in the hallway, voices getting louder, Carmen running toward the kitchen, Sultan following, the kitchen, marble countertops, expensive German knives in a wooden block, one knife, then blood. Too much blood. By the time Sultan's mind cleared enough to understand what he'd done, Carmen was on the floor, and his hands were red. in that villa where they'd celebrated their future just 3 days earlier. Their past and lies collided with fatal consequences. 11:47 p.m. The British neighbour who'd heard the shouting earlier made the call to Dubai Police Emergency Line. "Something's wrong at the villa next door. I heard screaming hours ago and now it's completely silent. Can you send someone to check?" 3 patrol cars arrived at 11:53 p.m. Officers knocked, no answer. They could see lights on inside. Protocol required them to enter when there was reason to suspect danger. What they found would haunt them for years. Carmen's body lay in the kitchen, multiple stab wounds to her chest and abdomen. A pool of blood had spread across the white marble tiles. The knife, a chef's knife from the wooden block, was on the counter, cleaned and placed back in its slot. They found Sultan in the majlis, sitting motionless on the same sofa where the confrontation had begun. His kandura was soaked in blood. His hands were red. His eyes stared at nothing. "Sir, can you hear me? Sir?" Sultan looked up at the officer. His voice was flat, emotionless. "She destroyed me. She destroyed everything." He said nothing else. Not during the arrest, not during the ride to the station. Just those 7 words, repeated twice. The investigation moved quickly. Dubai police are efficient, especially with high-profile cases. They recovered Sultan's laptop, found the anonymous email, traced the money transfers. Within 48 hours, they had the complete picture. Interpol contacted Philippine authorities. Dante Mercado was arrested in Cebu on May 10th. Bank records showed he'd received most of the money Carmen had transferred. Gambling debts, investigators confirmed. He denied planning anything, claimed he just asked his sister for help and she gave it. The hardest notification fell to Philippine police in Davao City. They knocked on Roberto Cruz's door on May 9th. He thought something had happened to Carmen at work. An accident, maybe. They told him his wife was dead, murdered in Dubai. Then they told him she'd married another man. Roberto collapsed. His children, 7-year-old Marco and 5-year-old Sofia, didn't understand why their father was crying, why police were in their house, why everything was suddenly wrong. They were functionally orphaned now. Their mother was dead. Their father was broken. Their grandmother, already elderly, would have to raise them on a pension that barely covered rice. The media frenzy was immediate and brutal. Gulf News, Khaleej Times, Philippine Star, everyone covered the story. Billionaire kills bride after discovering secret family. The headlines wrote themselves. Dubai's Filipino community was in shock. Churches held prayer vigils. Community centers buzzed with whispered conversations. "Did you know her?" "I think I saw her once at the mall." This is why you never lie about your past. The Emirati community was divided. Some sympathized with Sultan. The woman betrayed him, took his money, made him a fool. Others were harsh. He should have been more careful. You can't just marry anyone. Do you think desperation justifies deception? Or does betrayal justify rage? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. The case was heading to trial, and Dubai was watching. Sultan Al-Khattab was formally charged with murder on May 15, 2019. The trial began 3 months later at Dubai Criminal Court, and the city held its breath. His defense team, 3 of Dubai's most expensive lawyers, built their case on emotional grounds. Crime of passion, they argued. Temporary insanity triggered by extreme psychological shock. "My client discovered his entire marriage was built on lies," his lead attorney told the court. "He learned his wife had another family, had stolen from him, had deceived him in front of his children and community." His mind snapped. They brought psychiatric experts who testified about the psychological impact of such betrayal. Character witnesses lined up, business partners who spoke of Sultan's generosity, neighbors who'd never seen him angry, his children who swore their father had never been violent. The prosecution painted a different story. This wasn't passion, they argued. This was rage and excessive force. "Carmen Valdez was stabbed multiple times," the prosecutor stated coldly. "The defendant had time to stop. He chose not to. He cleaned the knife afterward. These are not the actions of someone who lost control. These are the actions of someone who wanted her dead. They had witnesses too, forensic experts, the neighbor who'd heard shouting for hours, Carmen's colleagues who testified she'd been planning to confess to Sultan, that she'd been saving money to fly her children to Dubai, that maybe she'd genuinely fallen in love despite her deception. The courtroom was packed daily. Journalists filled the back rows. Filipino domestic workers came during their days off, quietly supporting their countrywoman. Emirati businessmen attended, watching one of their own face justice. The trial sparked conversations that went far beyond the courtroom. In Filipino community centers, women whispered about OFW vulnerability, how desperation pushed people into impossible choices, how the system failed them. Carmen made wrong choices, yes, one community leader told reporters, but understand what drives a mother to such extremes. In Emirati Majlis gatherings, older men warned younger ones. Be careful who you marry. This is what happens when you don't investigate properly, when you let emotion override wisdom. The case became a cautionary tale told in multiple languages. Parents warned their children. Imams referenced it in Friday sermons. Social workers used it in counseling sessions. 2 families destroyed, 1 woman dead, 1 man facing life in prison. Countless questions with no easy answers. Have you witnessed similar stories in your community? What lessons can we learn? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. The verdict would determine Sultan's fate, but the deeper questions remained unanswered. The trial concluded after months of testimony, expert witnesses and emotional arguments from both sides. The verdict, when it finally came, satisfied no one completely. Some felt justice was served, others believed the sentence was too harsh or too lenient, depending on which side of the story resonated with them. The complexity of the case meant there were no clean answers, no clear villains or heroes, just broken people and irreversible consequences. The impact rippled through Dubai's social fabric. Expat-local relationships, especially romantic ones, faced new scrutiny. Filipino community organizations started offering counseling about the dangers of deception. Emirati families became more cautious, conducting deeper background checks before approving marriages. The trust that makes Dubai's multicultural society function had been damaged. But beyond the headlines and legal debates, the human cost was staggering. In Davao City, Roberto Cruz wakes up every morning to raise 2 children alone. Marco, now older, understands his mother is gone, but struggles to comprehend the full story. Sophia still asks when Mama is coming home. Roberto works construction during the day and cries at night, mourning a wife he thought he knew, grappling with a betrayal he discovered only after her death. Carmen's mother helps where she can, but she's elderly, and the weight of 2 active children is crushing. Sultan's children carry their own burden, shame mixed with grief. Their father's name, once respected throughout Dubai, is now associated with violence and scandal. His eldest son struggles to maintain the family business as clients quietly distance themselves. His daughter avoids social gatherings where people whisper. His younger son returned from studying abroad to a family forever changed. What drives people to such extremes? Poverty, greed, love, desperation. Carmen was a mother who watched her children go hungry. She was also a woman who lied, stole, and betrayed trust. Can both things be true? Can we hold space for understanding her desperation while acknowledging her deception? Sultan was a man who'd built an empire through hard work and generosity. He was also a man who took a life in rage. Can we recognize his pain while condemning his violence? This is the tragedy of 2 people from completely different worlds, one born into privilege, one born into poverty, whose paths crossed in a city built on dreams and money. Dubai promises transformation. Come here poor, leave here rich. But sometimes, the collision of desperation and wealth creates something toxic. The questions linger. Was Carmen a desperate mother doing anything to save her children, or was she a calculated scammer who played a role for 2 years? Was Sultan a betrayed victim pushed beyond his breaking point, or was he a violent man whose wealth and pride mattered more than human life? Morality isn't black and white. It exists in shades of grey that make us uncomfortable. This case forces us to confront those grey areas, to ask ourselves what we do facing impossible choices, to examine our own capacity for deception or violence when pushed to our limits. 2 families destroyed, 1 woman dead, 1 man imprisoned, 2 children growing up without their mother, 3 adult children bearing their father's shame, and somewhere in the middle, truth too complicated for a simple verdict. What's your verdict? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Where are you watching from? Have similar cases happened in your community? If this story affected you, hit that like button, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next investigation. Share this video with your loved ones. Remember, in Dubai's world of luxury and dreams, sometimes the price of deception is paid in blood. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and keep questioning what lies beneath the surface. Before you go, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then don't forget to download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40, Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals by clicking the link in the pinned comment.